essentially invented the fast estate, with its latest offerings being the RS4 and RS6. But lately, there's a sense it isn't having things all its own way. BMW has belatedly come onto the scene with the M3 Touring and put Audi in a bit of a chokehold, with a combination of great looks, practicality, and stunning driving dynamics.
But Audi is fighting back somewhat with this, the new RS4 Competition. And this one's important because it's the last ever RS4. The car will be discontinued. So, is it going to go out with a bang or disappear off into the night with its tail between its legs? Right, let's set the scene here. This is the RS4 Competition, and if you get your hands on one of these, you'll be in some pretty exclusive company because only 75 of these cars will come to the UK, costing £85,000. What's the point of it? Well, the competition bit is the clue, basically. It's designed to be a little bit more track focused, a bit more fun.
Sadly, fun doesn't translate to more power. Under the bonnet, it's the same 2.9-litre V6 found in the standard car, with power rated at the same 444 bhp.
That doesn't sound like a lot of fun, does it? But Audi has changed the transmission. They've modified it slightly, so now the acceleration's even quicker. It will do 0 to 62 2/10 quicker than before, so 3.9 seconds if you're interested, and the top speed is now 180 miles an hour. Interestingly, they've also changed the exhaust system. You can probably hear it. This one is the new Audi Sports Exhaust System Plus, and I've got to say, it does sound good. Right, I'll knock it down to second, floor it. Oh, you get a little pop on the upshift. That is a pretty leery sounding exhaust. Obviously nowhere near the craziest we've ever heard, but in this day and age where everything's very subdued, that noise is a pretty welcome sound.
So far, we have an engine that makes no more power, acceleration that makes only a subtle difference, albeit with a lighter, more fruity exhaust. And we don't have much in the way of new looks either. This Sebring black finish with a crystal effect is new, the wheels are available in a phantom black color, and Audi provides an optional carbon matte optics package with the mirrors, front blade, side flaps, sill extensions, and rear diffuser in a carbon matte finish. Pirelli P0 Corsa tyres are an optional extra. Inside, the changes are less than wholesale. The RS4 Performance does come with bucket seats, but only in Europe. Here in the UK, we get these still more than acceptable sports seats. Elsewhere, there's a flat-bottomed Alcantara steering wheel with red stitching, carbon fiber accents on the dash and center console, and an MMI system comprising a tablet-style display on the dash and a digital driver display.
So far, it's all very subtle, isn't it? But if you dig a bit deeper, you'll find there is actually more to this car. In the UK, all versions of the RS4 Competition will come with some pretty trick suspension, manually adjustable coilovers. It even comes with a nice little presentation box with the tools inside to make the necessary adjustments. You can drop it by 20 millimeters and make them as hard or as soft as you want, if you can be bothered. I suspect most people won't be bothered because, let's face it, most RS4 owners just want to take their dogs to Waitrose. I'm not 100% sure how Audi has set this particular car up, but it's an interesting ride, shall we say. It's pretty firm, I have noticed that, and on some B roads where there's potholes, the suspension does bottom out. You can feel it hitting the bump stops quite aggressively. The damping is actually pretty good. So on these smoother roads where there aren't potholes, it does work pretty well. But if you live around rougher roads and you are riding around with a Labrador in the back, then I suspect it's not going to be that pleased with you.
It's terrific in the corners, and that's partly due to the differential, which especially in dynamic mode gives the car more of an emphasis on rotating the rear axle in the corner, giving you, in theory, better drive through the bends.
It's difficult to say exactly how much difference that sport diff makes, but what I will say is that the car does feel really nice in the corners. Normally you'd expect an Audi to be a little bit soulless, and not that interesting in the bends, but this is really, really nice. Right, what's the gearbox like? I've got it in manual mode, I'm using the paddles. It's reasonably responsive on the way down. Okay, no, I take that back, it's not giving me the gears I want. No, they could do with a better gearbox, but the sound makes up for it. I'm guessing the suspension isn't anywhere near its softest in this particular car because there's a little bit of body roll. You can actually feel the car settle into a slight roll, but it's all very well controlled. And what is really nice is the steering. Audi have gotten rid of the variable steering rack on the standard RS4 and gone for a constant ratio, and it feels absolutely stunning. There's actually quite a bit of feedback in the wheel, and it's very predictable when you're going through bends. This is an absolute joy to hustle through a corner. It kind of feels like an old school rally car. Right, what are the brakes like? Yeah, nice and strong, really rewarding. Haven't felt any fade so far. They just keep working as you keep pounding on them. That's really reassuring. But the overriding sensation you get from this car is just one of joy. The suspension makes it feel really alive, really up on its toes, reactive. The steering is nice and pointy. Yeah, this is very much a driver's car. The RS6, its big brother, often gets a lot of the plaudits, but let me tell you, this car feels way more fun. It's such a hilarious car to drive, it really is. I'm honestly enjoying myself in this by slackening off some of the luxury, some of the niceties, and just making it a bit more raw, especially from the suspension and the noise and the steering. They've actually reminded me fully how capable and how fun the RS4 is. It's on its way out. It's going to be discontinued, which is a real shame because even to this day, it stands up to scrutiny. I'm thinking back to when I drove the Mercedes C63, the new model with the hybrid powertrain. That has a ton more power than this. But in terms of engagement, there's absolutely no competition whatsoever. This RS4 is light years ahead of it. It might not be as clever as the BMW M3 Touring with its switchable all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive system, and you can't drift it, you know, there's no power oversteer here, but for sheer kicks, it's closer than you think, you know. What a car.
Is it worth £85,000, and is it a fitting farewell to the RS4? Well, I'd have to say yes. It doesn't grab the headlines with any feature in particular, but for sheer enjoyment, it's up there with the very best fast estates of all time. For my money, I'd still buy an M3 Touring simply for the more dynamic and engaging driving experience, aka the fact you can slide the thing, and also for the more modern interior and technology suite. But for sheer fun factor, this RS4 is certainly not a million miles behind. It's an incredibly enjoyable, very exciting driver's car that will never fail to put a smile on your face.